Okay, and welcome back, students who are taking Math for Business and Finance Math Applications. This here is the Chapter 6 Summary Practice Test. And before we get started, if you've watched the drill problems and especially the word problems, then you started to see that there was a pattern on how to do things in order to arrive at the answers. And to be honest with you, there was enough problems there so that this summary practice test should be relatively easy. So let's see how far I can get through this. Probably 1-2 videos at the very most, since I'm not going to be spending a lot of time repeating what was in those other videos. All right, so let's get started here. And grab my ink pen, my pen. Okay, so this is for practice test. This is questions number 1 through 4. Because they're all the same, convert the following decimals to percents. So number 1, I have 0.921. To convert it to a percent, move my decimal place to the right 2 places. So we end up with 92.1%. Same with number 2, 0.4. Add an extra 0, move the decimal to the right 2 places. So I end up with 40%. 15.88, move the decimal to the right 2 places, I end up with 1,588%. And 8.00, I still have, even though there's 2 zeros after the decimal place, I have to move the decimal 2 places because it's not 8%, it's 800%. Okay, and if you don't understand what I just did, go back to the the first drill problems and watch those videos so you'll see the math behind them. Okay, this was just using the shortcut method of moving the decimal places. Okay, next one. All right, so now we're going to problems 5 to 8. We're going to convert percents to decimals. Okay, so if I have 42%, well, obviously, if I was going from, when I was going from decimals to percents, okay, I moved the decimal place to the right. Okay, but when I'm going from percents to decimals, okay, I'm moving 2 places to the left, so I'm going to the left 2 places. So as a quick tickler, as a reminder, put decimal on the left, put percent on the right. And if you have a decimal number, that means you need to move the decimal 2 places to the right. If you have a percent, then you move the decimal place 2 places to the left. Okay, that's the easy way to remember it without having to do the math. But remember, it helps you to understand the concepts better and what you're doing if you understand the math behind it. Right? So we were at 42%. There's where my decimal is. Since I have a percent, I'm going to the left, and so I end up with 0.42 as a decimal place. Okay, 7.98%, 1, 2. Okay, so I end up with 0.0798 as a decimal. 400%. There's where my decimal is, 1, 2. So that's equivalent to 4.0. And then, of course, 1/4 of a percent. If I take the 1 and I divide it by 4 in order to get a decimal, 4 goes in the 10 2 times, that's 8. 2 left over, bring down my 0, 5, that's 20, no remainder. So I have a decimal of 0.25. But remember, right now, that is 0.25%. Right? All I did was convert the fraction into a decimal. That's what I have here, okay? But it's still a percent. And now I have to actually move the decimal place 2 places, okay? So I end up with 0.0025 as the decimal, okay? If all you do is just figure out the decimal and don't realize that it's a percent, then obviously you're getting the problem wrong, okay? Right. Next, 9 and 10. Convert the following fractions to percents. Okay, so, and I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. So I have 1 over 6. Okay, so that is 1 divided by 6. I have to convert the fraction into a decimal. So 6 goes in the 10 one time. That's 6. That's 40. That's 6 times. That's 36. That's 40, so this is going to be repeating 666, okay? But my decimal now is 0.1666, and I want to convert that into a percent. So I move the decimal place 2 places to the right, and if I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, this is my tenths, so I look to the right. I see that I have a 6 which is greater than 5, and that means I'm going to round up, so I end up with 16.7%. Okay. All right. Let's see here. 1 over 3. That's going to be 0.333. Okay. Do the division yourself. And I move the decimal over 2 places. Okay, remember the 3's are going to go on forever, so here's my tenths. Look to the right, 3 is less than 5, so I'm going to round down, and I end up with 33.3%. Okay, problems 11 and 12. Convert the following percents to fractions and reduce to the lowest terms as necessary. Okay, so I have 19 3/8 of a percent. 19 3/8%. So the first thing I need to do is I need to convert this into this mixed fraction. I want to convert that into an improper fraction. So I take 19 times 8, that's 72, 152, plus 3 gives me 153 eighths. I'm sorry, 155 eighths. Now that's still a percent, okay? And so now I have to multiply by 1 over 100 in order to convert it into a normal fraction. Okay, so now I have 155 over 800. And now I've converted the percent into a fraction, and now I reduce to the lowest terms. Okay, so 5 can go into that 31 times, and 5 can go into 800, 160. So my answer is 31 over 160. Okay. Notice the sequence here. If we have a percent, a mixed fraction as a percent, we convert it into an improper fraction, and then multiply by 1 over 100 in order to get rid of the percent, and then we can reduce to the lowest terms. Right, and problem number 12 is 6.2%. Okay, so that 0.2%, remember the 0.2, that's a fraction of a whole number. And since that's 2 in the 10th spot, that means that's actually 6 2/10, right? Why? Because if I take 2 and divide by 10, okay, I get 0.2, all right? So it's 2 in the 10th spot. So it's 2 over 10 is now my fraction. And we're back to doing what we were doing with the previous problem. Okay, so that's 10 times 6 is 60 plus 2 is 62 over 10. And we multiply by 1 over 100, because remember that's still a percent. So we multiply by 1 over 100, and we get 62 over 1,000. And then we can reduce to the lowest terms. Well, I know that 2 can go into 62 31 times, and 2 can go into 1,500 times, and I can't reduce any further, so my answer is 31 over 500. Okay. Right, so we're at 11 minutes, and I'm going to stop here and pick up with the next problem in the next video.